everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com. I am your host, Jacob Tiranno, who is going to walk you through tonight's Sony presentation from CinemaCon 2018. That's right, this week is CinemaCon here in Las Vegas, held at the Caesars Palace. A huge convention when it comes to movies and movie theaters. All the studios will be a part of it. I'm going to be doing live movie news updates, breaking news, interviews with some celebrities, all available to you here on our YouTube channel, on our website, as well as following me on Twitter at Jacob Tiranno. Doing so, you'll be able to follow me live as I experience and witness and report things that are going on at this major event. Now, tonight I'm going to be talking about, like I said, Sony Pictures Presentation at CinemaCon. They were the opening studio, well, the studio that opened up the presentations tonight at CinemaCon. It's day one. Most of today was International Day. People are coming in. However, they end the night with a reception, a studio presentation, and a party. And now I'm going to talk about Sony's presentation. Now, of course, before Sony takes the stage, CinemaCon has to have their moment to come out, welcome their guests. They were celebrating their 8th year, and they informed us that the theme for this year is the greatest show, because all movie theaters want to put on the greatest show. Obviously, this is inspired by The Greatest Showman soundtrack, a movie that did quite well and really built up through its weeks at the box office. Dolby and Coca-Cola, both major sponsors of the event, had some good shout-outs. Dolby actually came out talking about Dolby Atmos and a few other of their new and upcoming projects. They had a little sizzle reel, which actually featured some pretty cool stuff from Jurassic World, the upcoming Jurassic World sequel, as well as Solo. So that was a nice little tease. And usually how these presentations work is some executive comes in, either it be president of distribution or whatever it may be. They come out, they talk, they say what movie they're going to promote. A cast and crew from that movie comes out, talks, and then they show a little trailer. Tonight wasn't much different. However, Sony Pictures opened up quite strong as they had Will Ferrell come out, who took the stage and started singing "My Heart Will Go On." Obviously, because the Coliseum, where this event is taking place, is the home or resident home of Celine Dion, who sang that song. For those who aren't local and into the joke. Anyway, Will Ferrell was here to promote Holmes and Watson, an upcoming comedy in which these two characters are played by the likes of both comedic geniuses, according to many, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Now, for those of you who know me and follow my critiques and things like that, no, I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell fan, but I do find him to crack me up, especially when he is with John C. Reilly. So they showed a little sizzle reel of this upcoming film called Holmes and Watson, and I have to tell you, I'm intrigued. You know, a lot of comedies went over my head when it comes to Will Ferrell. I just did not connect to them the way people do. But when he's teamed up with John C. Reilly, there is just magic. Either it be Step Brothers or Talladega Nights. I like both those films a lot. And while this movie, of course, is going to be over-the-top, outrageous, and downright silly, there might be some hope in that. But we got to see a little sizzle reel of that, and I think that the people who do like these films are going to really enjoy it. Then Director X, the director of the up-and-coming film Superfly, took the stage and told us that this movie was truly a love letter to Atlanta. He was also joined by actors Trevor Jackson, Jason Mitchell, and Lex Scott Davis. And they wanted us to really see that Superfly was a movie that really changed the game when it came to introducing music and film, and their version is going to do the same. And looking at it, it does look intriguing. While it wasn't the most memorable clip that I saw from the evening, I think it is a film, hopefully, that will do the original justice and really get a great reaction out of movie fans. Moving on, we have Miss Bala, a film that was directed by Catherine Hardwicke and stars Gina Rodriguez, Anthony Mackie, and Ismael Cruz Cordova, all who were on stage to introduce this film. This movie really kind of embraces the fact that it is led by a Mexican woman. The director, Catherine Hardwicke, told us that the film in almost its entirety, if not its entirety, was filmed in Mexico. No, the film in its entirety is filmed in Mexico, and 95% of the crew that worked on the film was Mexican. And obviously Gina Rodriguez and everyone was really kind of pushing this ideology that this film, Miss Bala, is about a strong woman who takes things into her own hands. And this is a real... the little clips that they put together didn't incredibly stand out to me. I think that there is a market for it. You know, there is that market for the vengeful, strong girl with the gun. We've been kind of seeing this replicated. You know, we had Atomic Blonde last year. It comes off the top of the head. Salt. There was one that I'm forgetting the name of. Columbia, something along those lines. I'm sure you guys in the comment sections will remind me. But it had that kind of look, and one of the most memorable images from it was Gina Rodriguez walking in this red, what appeared to be like velvet dress. Granted, I'm not a big person on fabric, so I'm probably totally wrong. Maybe a red dress, and with her a machine gun as she's walking to go do some more damage. But overall, had a good reception from the crowd. Adrian Smith, the president of Sony Pictures Domestic Distribution, took on the stage to talk about things that Sony is currently working on. Now, some of the footage that we saw in this segment wasn't fully complete, still was rendering as far as editing and CGI and things like that, but still gave us some interesting things to look at. Now, the first thing he did was talk about faith-based films, and then he talked on a follow-up to A Dog's Purpose from the same author of while that film was made. The film that they're making now is based on on a book written by the same author, and this one was called A Dog's Way Home. And I have to be honest, the film obviously, as you could probably guess from the title, is about a dog who loses its way and tries to make it back across the country to find its home and its owner. You know, it definitely got a few sneers out of the press box area where we are, and you could hear some critics kind of laughing and snarling. But I'm sure there's going to be a huge audience for that. Well, I don't know about huge, but an audience for that nonetheless. I mean, there was some pretty good sales for A Dog's Purpose, and I'm sure people are going to go see it because everyone loves dogs. We also teased Goosebumps Haunted Halloween, which looks like it's going to recapture the fun and magic from the first. You know, we have one of the stars from It is going to be in this movie, and they find the book which concluded the other Goosebumps film. And of course, it seems like very much the same thing, though, of releasing all of the creatures and monsters out of R.L. Stein's books back into the world, and then they have to kind of figure it out. So, different, not so much, but I think people love the R.L. Stein characters, or creatures, if you will, more than characters, to the point where I think they will watch them and everything, but we'll have to see. Then we had, of course, to tackle the other animated film, well, not the other animated film, but the first animated film of the few that we look at today at Sony Pictures Presentation from CinemaCon, Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. Well, they did show a pretty extensive clip from this, and I've not liked any of the Hotel Transylvania films, so Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, in which the family of monsters are going on a cruise, did not really work for me at all, and I didn't find much to be pleased with. I mean, granted, the movie series has not done me justice in the past two films. Maybe this one will turn things around, but I have to say I highly doubt it. Next was a pretty big segment for me because I thought it was one of the more intriguing looks that we got tonight. We got to look at the film White Boy Rick with director Jeff Robinov and star Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey took the stage along with the director and was informing us that this story is based on a true story, and it is really about family, according to Matthew McConaughey. We got a first look at the film, and I have to say it looks incredibly intriguing. I think that it has a lot of elements of, you know, Matthew McConaughey giving a great performance. And before they started showing this as real, he really prompted that this movie is going to have some really wonderful performance, especially White Boy Rick, the main character of the film, who is Matthew McConaughey's son in the film. Sorry, getting a little tongue-tied twisted there. It's already late. The day of CinemaCon has already wiped me out, but don't worry, I'm going to keep coverage coming all week long. Now moving forward. So after I see this incredibly intriguing trailer, and for a movie I think will do quite well, we get to talk about Sicario, Day of Soldado, which was introduced by Benicio del Toro, who will be winning an award at CinemaCon this year. So if he sticks around, I should be able to interview him, and that interview, of course, will be posted on the YouTube channel and on chasingcinema.com. So again, if you aren't subscribed or you aren't a member of our website, make sure to do that now so you constantly get the coverage all week long. And again, I know, follow me on Twitter. I'm telling you guys, I tweet it live as I see it, as everything's happening, and I want you guys to get the news as quick as possible, so make sure to do that. I have to say, I love Sicario. And one of my worries, though, is why Sicario was probably no way meant for a sequel. Denis Villeneuve, a very, very great director who has managed to make great films in varying genres, while they all kind of have similar themes and ideologies and kind of tones. You know, I don't know if Sicario is meant for a sequel. However, watching this, I have to say, it looks incredibly intense, it looks gritty, and it looks very, very violent, and I think that was kind of at the heart of the first Sicario. So, while it's set to open on June 29th, and I was a bit skeptical, the little bit of footage that I saw tonight with, of course, him and Del Toro and Josh Brolin, both, you know, Academy Award caliber actors, I have to say that I'm definitely in. Like, I'm ready. I was skeptical at first, and while many were already excited, I'm really excited now, and I think all of you should be too. Next, Tom Rothman came out, who is the chairman of Sony Pictures Entertainment Motion Picture Group, came out to talk about Chris Miller and Phil Lord's upcoming animated film, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And if you're not familiar with that film, like I said, it's an upcoming animation picture, which is going to focus on the Miles Morales story. And if you aren't really into comics or don't know who Miles Morales is, he's actually an African-American boy who actually becomes Spider-Man in his own right. You know, in the world of comics, there's a lot of different universes, there's a lot of different storylines, and Miles Morales is one of the people to take on the role of Spider-Man. And it's a movie that a lot of people were anticipating him and having his own real Spider-Man film, but 2 years ago, or maybe it was only a year ago, at CinemaCon, they actually announced this animated Spider-Man film, and it's been pushed back. And let me tell you, they showed some footage, though it was really unfinished. Some scenes were really, really unrendered. I just am so excited to see an animated a film like this that's different style and maybe can really inspire other filmmakers and studios to produce more animated superhero movies. And, you know, I mean, obviously DC with the Batman animated films have really not ever stopped. I mean, they're pushing them out to the point where sometimes the quality of them are questionable. Like the most recent one with Harley Quinn, which I thought was awful. But I would like to see, you know, other really ambitious projects like this. And that's what I got from it. I mean, seeing it, I think it's ambitious, but I think it's unique and hopefully will spark that kind of fire to get more really good animated films out there. Not all child-based, but, you know, for the family, but also even more of kind of that PG-13 type genre where we could really kind of push boundaries with animation and really explore what we could do with that, especially for superhero films, because where better a place to really go wild with an imagination through animation. Anton Fuqua, the director of the first Equalizer, came out and did some footage from the Equalizer 2. I was not a fan of the first Equalizer. I didn't think it was awful, but I have to tell you, as I sit here now, I really don't remember much of the first Equalizer. But the sequel looks bigger, louder, and even more crazy than the first. They showed a pretty extensive scene where Denzel is on a train. And of course, it gives you that elements of Taken and the other, you know, we get a look at the watch, which was really popular in the first Equalizer. And again, like the first time, like the first film, the trailers really intrigued me. And of course, CinemaCon also gives us this hype into things that makes us really want to enjoy them. And we have the filmmakers there telling us how much they enjoyed making it. It really wants us to enjoy stuff. But really looking at that trailer, I'm hoping it's something that I'll enjoy and feel will, in my opinion, redeem the first film. Now, Claire Foy and Fede Alvarez took the stage to talk about The Girl in the Spider's Web. Now, this is a continuation of the book series, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is a film that they're working on and obviously looks quite entertaining. I've not read these books. I've actually not even seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I had planned on it. It just escaped me all these years. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But it is something that I do want to see. And with this trailer, I'm even more intrigued by, because there's probably so much I don't know about this series. But obviously, Claire Voy is going to be taking on the character. The main character of the series looks like it's going to be quite intense. And again, a film led by a woman who's a badass. So I'm excited for it. Next, we come to Venom. Now, if you aren't constantly checking on Twitter or looking for movie updates, or maybe you just saw on Facebook, everyone knew that Sony Pictures was going to release some footage of Venom tonight, the new superhero film starring Tom Hardy. And unfortunately, at about 4 or 5 o'clock, I wasn't really sure, there was actually leaked footage of the Venom trailer that was released a few hours ago. And people got to first look at Venom, and it was really well received, it seems like, on Facebook and Twitter and all the social media sites. But it was kind of a bummer. You know, Sony obviously comes here to present some footage and show us Venom for the first time, and it gets leaked. That's always kind of a bummer. But I have to say, even with that, Venom did not disappoint anyone in the room. First, we had Ruben Fleischer and Michelle Williams and Riz Ahmed take the stage to talk about Venom and what it's like working on this project. Then Tom Hardy, Venom himself, came out and took the stage. Seemed really intrigued and excited to be there. And then they presented us with some extended footage and little clips of the trailer that was released. Now, the trailer is available now, and I have to tell you, it's pretty damn good. And I say the same thing about the footage. You know, at a time where all these, you know, we have Infinity War right around the corner, a lot of superhero stuff. Actually, I hope to hear some stuff about Infinity War tomorrow. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., this is 10:47 p.m. on Monday, 9 a.m. on Tuesday, Disney's going to be having a presentation. I'll be live tweeting it. Again, make sure to follow us up so you can hear all that news first. Anyway, we are Venom. The moment that line is uttered, as we finally get to reveal the character of Venom in the footage, a huge, well-deserved response came from the crowd, and I mean, I think it's well-earned, and I'm excited to see what that movie has to offer. There was a comment that, you know, in CinemaCon, everyone's so busy typing away and trying to get out everything that's happening. Everything's happening so fast. I didn't get the entire statement, but I did get that Dwayne Johnson and his friends from Jumanji will be returning in theaters in Christmas of 2019. So next year, Christmas, Jumanji's crew is going to be back in theaters. Now, to close out the night, a big surprise for everybody. August 9th, 2019, arguably one of the most anticipated films now, because even though this movie was very much under wraps, everyone is going to be talking about now. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, starring Brad Pitt side to side, directed by Quentin Tarantino himself, we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio and Quentin Tarantino took the stage, had a huge applause, the biggest applause of the night. I mean, people were screaming. Tarantino said that this movie is going to bring us the greatest movie duo since Paul Newman and Robert Redford with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. He told us that this movie was set in the very daisy, psychedelic LA of 1969, and it was a huge turning point for the way that the industry was working and things like that. Quentin Tarantino was all about it. He's like, this is the closest film I've made to Pulp Fiction's characters and the way that I've made Pulp Fiction. It's the closest I've been to that. And then, of course, as he hands the microphone off to Leonardo DiCaprio, Leo said, you know, it's really hard to talk about a film that we haven't even shot a frame of yet. Like I said, this movie is slated to come back to release in August of next year. And even though there was only but a poster, and I don't think an official poster, I am super excited for that film, and I'm sure all of you are too. And just having them in the room really got everyone amped up for this upcoming week. The last thing Quentin Tarantino said to close the show is, I love movies, and I love movies in movie theaters. Obviously, CinemaCon being the convention of NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners that celebrates movie exhibitors, he got a huge pop for that. And I think everyone was excited with Sony's presentation. Now, granted, some of the footage didn't get huge responses. Hotel Transylvania is free, A Dog's Way Home. But they knew how to end the show. And I think with Spider-Man, White Boy Rick, Sicario 2, and of course that upcoming film, well, Venom as well, if I didn't say that already, in that upcoming film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Sony had a pretty good reel. Again, my name is Jacob Tiranno. Follow me on Twitter for live updates, interviews, and movie news at CinemaCon this week. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Comment below if you have any questions. If I didn't answer anything and something happened and you heard about it, you want to know, ask me. I'll do my best to answer them. ChasingCinema.com is known as Filmlove's website. You'll find all of our reviews. We have a review of Infinity War going up. And again, tomorrow I'll have the Warner Brothers presentation recap. I'll be doing the Disney presentation recap and much, much more. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Tiranno. Please continue us through this week at CinemaCon. And as always, please continue chasing cinema.